everyone. It is Sunday, May 8th, and it is Mother's Day. So I want to first wish you all a happy Mother's Day in any form that is. We'll be putting this out tomorrow, so I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. We are going to work on our little succulent garden here this morning. We had a lot of rocks that my husband got from work when they were cleaning out a riverbed, and we brought them all home. We were going to do a koi pond. We haven't been able to do that yet. It's going to be a project for later. So in the meantime, I need to do something with all these rocks we have in our backyard. So I thought we would make a cute little cactus garden. So first I did a layer of the bigger rock around here, and I let that settle for a couple of weeks. And then I took a lot of the smaller rock, put it inside, because cactus roots don't get that deep. They're not that, they're pretty shallow. So then we are going to fill that with this E&D Stone organic succulent potting mix. And so right there. And this is, they like very well draining soils. So you can see that this is like, it's kind of like a seed starting mix. It's just very, very well draining. It's got a lot of tiny wood chips, perlite, and loose soil in it. So we'll be putting that in there. And then we're also putting in Tank's green stuff succulent mix. It's also natural and organic. It's a little bit heavier. So I think I'm going to put this on the bottom and then put that in the top. I guess when you got rocks, you can use them, right? Make a little hole. Oh yeah, definitely. Look at this. It's like wood chips. Wood chips and perlite. So I think I'll put this in the base because that's going to sink through into those rocks. So we're going to mix that in there first.
Now, should we water this beforehand to let it seep through the rocks?
Yeah, that's a good question, Candace. You always want to water anything that you are using before you put your plants in, so that the plants don't go into too much transplant shock. If the soil is wet, they won't do that as much.
And you're getting at the bubbles right now.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get it into any air pockets that it might have. And when we water it in, that'll also settle it a little bit. So we'll put this in first, and we'll add that other layer onto the top. See if you can look at that difference. Look at the difference in these two mediums here. One is a lot more just well draining than the other. But I think the cactuses are really going to like it. And believe it or not, just because they're cactuses, not all of them like full sun all the time. In Arizona, you definitely, just because it says it likes full sun, doesn't mean that it's going to love the Arizona full sun, because that's just a whole nother thing. So we're going to water this in and figure out where we're going to plant this stuff, and then we'll bring you back when we're planting it out. Okay, you guys, just like that, me and Candace ended up both putting this together, so our hands were full, so we couldn't record. But so I'm just going to do a light water on these to try to clean them out a little bit. But we put ones in here that aren't going to trail. And
the Indian hawthorn was actually one that we were able to split into two, as was this, into three, you're right. As was these 4, 5. They were all in this.
Candace got me that.
That was for last Mother's Day, actually.
Yeah, they've been in there for a year.
And then this was right where those were.
So we split that all up and put it in here. I just think it looks absolutely amazing against all of this rock. So I think we're gonna have to do another one, or maybe two, because we still have some cactuses in pots, but these are all cacti that tend to spread. And I got this from a dear friend of mine who moved, and she gave me it. But you can see it's just bursting out of this pot. The pot is just breaking apart. But look at the blooms on this right now. This is the time of year when the cacti just start lighting up and blooming, and there's beautiful flowers on top of the saguaros, and the desert is just amazingly beautiful this time of year. But as you can see, there's not even any dirt in here anymore. It is just all root, but it has taken over this whole pot. It multiplies, as does any of your aloe plants. They multiply also. So I think I'm gonna do a couple more of these little rock beds up in that corner. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put them, because that's where we're actually going to be doing the koi pond. And if I do that there, we're gonna end up having to move them. And I really don't want to move what I put in. So I'm gonna think about that for a minute and figure out what I'm gonna do with that. Welcome back, everybody. So we did the barrel cactus and the aloe. I decided to keep them in a container instead of doing any in-ground thing, so we can move this at any point, because this is where we're going to be doing our pond at some point. So I did the same thing as I did with the rock garden, and I filled it halfway up with rock, and then I put in the tanks, and then I put in the cacti and succulent soil. So this is the aloe here, and then we got this little purple vining shrub here coming down, and then these are all of the barrels. And look at the beautiful, sometimes they look like aliens coming out of here, but this one, there's all kinds of babies in here that are going to be flowering. This one I got wet. I'm not sure if he'll come back. You shouldn't transplant things when it is getting hot outside, because or when they're flowering. You should always wait till after. But this guy was cracking out of its pot, so I needed to get it done before we started getting into really warm weather. And speaking of warm weather, it is getting hot outside, so we're going to be done outside for today, and we will meet up with you inside in a little while. We are going to learn today all about sage.